Welcome back. You were one of the leading defense counsels to Ken Saro-Wiwa. Mr. Saro-Wiwa and his colleagues were condemned to death without legal representation because you and other defense lawyers, including the late Gani Fawemi and Femi Falana, decided to stand down after accusing the tribunal of violating judicial ethics and rules. Do you regret standing down in that case? Should you have gone ahead and just given it your best?
No, because we discussed it. The results would have been the same. It was a script that had been worked out.
But they didn't have a chance because there was no one there to defend them.
It was clear. You know, it's not easy for me in this interview to convey to you the challenges that we faced. But it was clear to us that even if you brought 50 Chief Williamses, the results would have been the same, whether he was standing there or not. So, with Ken's consent, in fact, he raised it. Said, look, listen, you guys are here. I better do my own defense and do it myself, rather than they say, oh, I had lawyers, when I know that you guys are not representing me effectively. We had no chance. I didn't regret leaving because it would have made no difference. No difference at all.
The judge in that Saro-Wiwa case, Justice Ibrahim Auta, has since risen to become a Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, while the lead prosecutor, Joseph Daudu, is like you, a past chairman of the NBA. Have you ever discussed...
President, not chairman.
Sorry, forgive me, past president of the NBA. Have you ever discussed this case with either of them? And did they ever express regret or sorrow at how it all turned out?
They did their work. No, I'm not that emotional. They did their job. This is it. How do I say it? This is what makes law sometimes referred to as that profession. They just did their job. What did he do? He was a prosecutor. It could have been me. Of course, you can say you have a right not to accept. But generally, the rule is you are bound to accept a brief. We have very strong ethics. So I have nothing against them for doing their work. Nothing. The problem was General Abacha, not them. Do you know that if they had even returned the said go, Abacha could have said no because it was the confirming authority. The problem was in a military setting, a lot of things happen to deprive you of your courage and independence. The fact that I was a courageous person, able to stand bullets, would not make me assume that you, Modele, would do the same.
You don't blame the judge who returned a verdict of guilty, even though these people were probably not guilty?
I don't.
Because there was a script that had been written and he had to act out that script.
That's what I'm saying. I don't. It's tough luck. That's the way life is. Is
that how judges should operate?
But I've just told you no. But I just told you. You're not getting the conceptual issues of the question.
I understand the prosecutor. Yes. He has to take a brief.
Yes.
Does the judge have to return a verdict of guilty, even though
on the basis of the evidence?
On the basis
of the evidence, a judge says, I find you guilty or not guilty. It's not for me to start to say, oh, well, you know, I think at the time, the best report came from the Observer Council centered by the Law Society of England and Wales, Mr. Michael Brembon. He said there is no way in which these accused persons, in the circumstances I see, can get a fair trial. So I'm not interested in the judgment.
They were accused of having killed some 4 people,
yes,
among other things.
Yes. No, leave that alone. It's the issue of the fairness. Even a person who is caught with his hand in the cookie jar is entitled to a fair trial. So it's not about, there are 2 things that we're mixing up here. The verdict is aside. It's the process that is the issue. The process was flawed. And the process was flawed not because of the judge, but because of the political circumstances. The political circumstances. And that was the report that the the observers who came to the trial gave. And I could see it as a direct participant that the process was flawed. And what does...
The judge's hands were tied.
And the judge's hands was tied. And counsel's hands were tied. But I'm not going to start regretting. You know, that's my point. I'm not going to start it. I'm sure that even Ken, wherever he is, in looking back, will say, my contribution to the growth of Nigeria was the martyrdom I suffered in the hands of a brutal dictatorship. And same with Abiola too.
You know, as you just pointed out now, the Niger Delta problems were brought to limelight by this Ken Saro-Wiwa case. And since then, a lot of progress has been made towards addressing the issues in that region. Since 1999, there's been the 13% derivation fund, there's a Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, there's a presidential amnesty program. There has been a precedent from that region. What more needs to be done to appease the Niger Deltas?
Not about appeasing. What more needs to be done is to balance out Nigeria. Niger Delta is a symptom of the cause. I always like to say something. When the cause ceases to have effect, the effect ceases. Niger Delta is the symptomatic process of a failed and disproportionate Nigeria. What about me? What am I not Igbo? What about all those Biafran soldiers? No one gave them any succor, even Igbo politicians. I would have thought that part of the easiest way to win the hearts of the constituency in Igbo land is to say something about the Biafran soldiers. Not a person said, not even an Igbo man said anything. So the Boko Haram, who wants to be in Boko Haram? Boko Haram is an economic problem, being manipulated politically. And now religion has crept in. But why won't they be doing Boko Haram when they have no choice? So the problem of Boko Haram, Niger Delta is everywhere. So the issue is, how do we resolve it? And I've given you the answer. Let the government implement, or at least read the National Conference report. That's the way to go.
The last administration withdrew all the cases against Mohamed Abacha over the Abacha loot. Because you mentioned Abacha a few minutes ago. Is it time to draw the curtain on that chapter? Yeah,
it's time. It's time. It's a long, long time. The guy is dead. We all know what he did. In the Catholic Church, Abacha led us to form a prayer called Prayer for Nigeria in Distress. Let's go for the money. We've lost sight of the main purpose, and that's why sometimes process can be a distorting issue. What we want is the money. Well, you know what? The West is happy to keep it in their banks and allow us to find silly cases here. But if we all come together and say, you know what? We've agreed. Call Mr. Abacha, sit him down and say, Mister, there's no question that we have X amount of money in the bank. Sign an agreement passing the money over to us. Even if and this is what we call plea bargaining, even if it meant saying to him, all right, we know you want some.
Take a certain percentage.
Take a certain percentage. Otherwise, the money is going to sit down there forever. I don't want to start going to the names of ministers from the First Republic who still have funds in the Swiss banks, and they're fighting in court. There's one that is pathetic. Originally, the money was about 40 million. I think it's now reached about 400 million. I see the kids around. The beneficiaries of the funds are the very Westerners who tell us about democracy, governance, and anti-corruption. All the Halliburton scandals and all that. America has made more money fining the companies that bribe Nigerian officials than the Nigerian government that owns the money. Because we don't apply the right tools. We're not thinking conceptually.
Generally speaking, how can we reform the criminal justice system?
Oh, we've just had a very big new bill, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Again, it's the same thing. These reforms have to do with legal failure. So do you know the last time the criminal justice system had any scintilla of reform? 1894. 1894. So why wouldn't it fail? So what has happened now is all those nibbling areas where you claim that we lawyers cause delay, we've removed it. Trial starts, no adjournment. If you disagree on the point with your with the other side. Please note it down and make the point at the end of the case. No delay, the trial starts from start to finish. Any point that you disagree with the judge because his ruling is wrong, reserve it. So the trial proceeds unimpeded to the end. If it works, that will bring a revolutionary change. And I pray it works.
Dr. Olisa Agbakoba, we thank you for your time.
Thanks.
And that's our program. Thank you for watching. Please join us next time when View from the Top returns. But between now and then, let's continue our conversation online at channelstv.com. Do tweet me your thoughts on my conversation with Dr. Olisa Agbakoba. Thank you again and have a good day.